All right, welcome back in. Dirt Sprague with you. Really excited. We had Dalton Knecht in town. He was a one-person workout, which is always something to kind of take note of.
Solo workout guy.
Dalton Knecht, the player from Tennessee, who had quite the year for himself, has been tied in some mocks to the Portland Trailblazers. So as the draft looms just on the horizon, we thought we'd start diving in and kind of getting to know some of the players that have been linked to Portland, and Dalton is certainly one of them. So we bring on Grant Ramey, VolQuest.com on 3 Sports. He wrote and covered Dalton all of last year. You can find him on Twitter at Grant Ramey. Grant, thanks for hopping on with us in Portland, man. Good morning. Dalton Knecht. What were your thoughts of Dalton Knecht coming into Tennessee season last year?
Going into the season, I thought, who is this guy? His numbers look good on paper. He's kind of built the way you want that wing scorer to be built. But there was nobody on planet Earth that had any idea what Dalton Knecht was going to be for the 1 year that he was at Tennessee. I mean, he stepped in and almost from the jump. I mean, he started generating buzz. He got here in May of last year. He worked out, obviously, with the team as college athletes do through the summer. And he started kind of just turning heads and making everybody start talking about him during those summer workouts and what he was doing inside Tennessee's practice facility. And man, that buzz could not have been enough to describe what was on the way with Dalton Knecht.
You know, I think one of the things that's most intriguing for Portland is we're desperate for a wing player. And you mentioned he's kind of that prototypical wing guy, can knock down threes, shot at a very high clip. Hey, how do you think his size projects as a small forward in the NBA? Because I think that would be the most attractive fit. I believe his height was 6'6" at the Combine. Just how do you feel about his height and that fitting in the NBA?
I think my first impression of Dalton, the first time I saw him in person, was this guy is bigger than you think he is. I think he's thicker than you think he is. I think he's stronger than you think he is. I think size-wise, height, yeah, it'd be better if he was 6'7" or 6'8", but I think you can make it work with 6'6" because of what he brings to the table in terms of his athletic ability and his explosiveness. His defense is always going to need some work. That's why he went to Tennessee, was to work on his defense. So at least he acknowledges that, and he knows he has to get better on that end of the floor. But I think when you see him up close, you're like, man, this kid's a little bit bigger than you would expect. And I don't see why it wouldn't translate at the next level.
Grant Ramey, VolQuest.com is our guest here. Dalton Knecht, maybe a potential Blazer. So we're going to start diving into some of the prospects that have been tied here. On Dalton Knecht, I mean, Grant, there's an obvious thing here. Hey, it's the white guy, and he probably just stands and shoots threes. Had a remarkable year at Tennessee. For those that didn't watch all of the games, if you go to YouTube, there's a lot of just shooting highlights. Dalton Knecht as a player, how would you describe him on the court? A guy that just stands and shoots, or a guy that's doing a hell of a lot more?
No, if before he would stand and shoot, he would demand the ball and motion his teammates to get out of the way, let me take over. Like, he is an aggressive scorer, and he scores in bunches. And it's like, he'll struggle for a few minutes, and then he hits that first three, and you're like, all right, it's on. And like second halves of Tennessee basketball games all season, I think I can't even remember how many now. He had multiple games, probably 6 or 7, where he scored 20-plus points in the second half, because he's a guy that's just going to take over. Like, he hits the three-point shot, and he hunts those shots, pull up, whatever it is, fighting around screens, all that stuff. But he's also a guy that as soon as you step out the three-point line, he can drive past you, get to the rim, and finish with the dunk. He can go mid-range. He can go baseline. Like, he's going to score it any way he has to score it, because he is just a natural-born scorer. That's what he was put on this planet to do. And he does it a bunch of different ways. There's definitely no one that's going to describe him as somebody who just stands around and shoots the basketball. He's going to find every which way to score it on the basketball court that you can. And it doesn't matter how many guys you put on him. It feels like hands in the face. The tougher the defense is, it feels like the more he makes the shots. I think that's just what he does, and he does it so many different ways.
You mentioned him wanting to address his defense, and that being one of the reasons he went to a bigger program in Tennessee to try and showcase that. Is there another weakness, another criticism is probably not the right word, but another thing that he should identify, or you think NBA teams are identifying of saying, let's try and work on this and get better at that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe lateral quickness. I think he put up good numbers at the Combine, impressive numbers, but I think his struggles on the defensive end maybe are from that lateral quickness. So that's something you got to kind of address. But there's so few flaws with this guy, in my opinion, from watching him for a year. Like the way people talk about him in the locker room, the guy he was off the court at Tennessee, the way he walked into a new situation where he came out of the transfer portal to join Tennessee and immediately became the best player on the court and the guy who had to take over. And his teammates embraced him, and he embraced that situation. So as gifted as he is offensively, as good of an athlete as he is, what he is off the court, it feels like he doesn't have that many deficiencies. It's just that defense that he's got to work on. And I think it speaks to his maturity that he knows he has to work on the defensive end. Like, he went to Tennessee for two reasons: because Kevin Durant's his favorite player, and Rick Barnes coached Kevin Durant at Texas, obviously, and because he wanted to work on the defensive end of the floor. And that's what Rick Barnes is known for at Tennessee is whatever it is going to be on the offensive end, what you're going to get on the defensive end, and you're going to have to play on the defensive end to earn your minutes to get on the floor. And he wanted to be coached hard, and Rick coached him hard. We watched him coach him hard all season. So I think that defense really is the only thing that I could kind of poke a hole in terms of where this guy needs to improve and make up some ground at the next level.
We're trying to get to understand who Dalton Knecht, the prospect, is. NBA draft is a couple weeks away out here in Portland. We've got picks 7 and 14. We're talking with Grant Ramey of VolQuest.com. I got a two-parter for you then, Grant. One, how did his defense evolve, I guess, from the start of the season for Tennessee towards the back end? Even if he has to work on it, how did that evolve throughout the season? Did you see some changes? And two, you've brought up a couple times unsolicited him off the court, locker room stuff. What kind of a leader, what kind of a player are we getting? Are we getting a dog? Is that a bulldog type player, somebody that has kind of that right, natural FU competitor attitude? Like, what was he like in the locker room at Tennessee?
First of all, defensively, yeah, I think there was a change. I think Rick Barnes saw it the first time they got on. They went to Michigan State in October and played a charity exhibition game, and that was the first time Rick was kind of like, okay, this guy's different. Like, he hadn't seen the defensive end stuff that he wanted to see, I guess, through the summer and through the preseason. But as soon as he got on the floor, it felt like there was something that changed, and he started putting in a different kind of effort on that end of the floor. And I think that increased and kind of improved throughout the season. And there were times where teams probably went after him, and that's expected. But I think he's kind of responded, and he knows he has to get better on that end of the floor. And I think that's the biggest thing. Off the floor, like, yeah, this guy's got an attitude like he's going to be the best player on the floor. There was a story from last summer where he was kind of still the new guy at Tennessee, and his teammates didn't really know what to expect. And there was like a workout where he was kind of – he was taking people to the rim and he was scoring, and it was like, okay, can you really do that at this level consistently? And he was like, okay, if you don't think you can, then put up some money and let's bet. And he went to the rim against just about anybody that was in front of him, and he scored, and he started flashing the kind of Johnny Manziel money sign, like, give me my money. Like, I think that's the kind of attitude that he has on the floor. Now, off the court, he's a guy that when he got to Tennessee, like, he just thought it was cool to go to the grocery store and get recognized, because he wasn't used to that. Because coming out of Colorado, he didn't have anything out of high school, so he had to go to junior college. Coming out of junior college, he didn't have much there in terms of his recruitment, so he had to go to northern Colorado. Like, this guy's had to climb the ladder rung for rung. And he got to Tennessee, and he was suddenly a celebrity. And he embraced that. Like, he was always a guy that would come out after the game and spend like an hour signing autographs for kids and taking pictures. Like, he never turned down anything because and it wasn't from a arrogance or a conceit or a look at me, I'm in the spotlight. He just enjoyed it because he had never been that guy that had been noticed and had been, getting the attention like he got at Tennessee. And he kind of embraced that and became a fan favorite immediately.
It's interesting you bring that up because I'm just curious what you think that says about his character. I feel like a lot of guys that get connected as lottery picks or projected top 5, top 10 picks, they're either, can't miss prospects coming out of high school. They go straight to the G League. They make a lot of money. They're blue chip recruits. This is a guy that went JUCO, no offers, went Northern Colorado, not a lot of attention, finally pops us 1 year of major college basketball of just what it says about his character to grind that out and get to that point where he's turned himself into a top 10 overall pick.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of, a humbling process that he's had to go through. Like, he's had to kind of pull himself up by his bootstraps and earn everything that he's been given. And I don't think there's really been any change with Dalton Knecht as he's kind of climbed the ladder and as the success has increased. I think he's basically the same guy now that he was coming out of high school. And I think he will, whatever NBA team drafts him, I think they'll love how, I don't know, down to earth, grounded, whatever he is, because he's never been that guy that was that star at 14, 15 years old and had 5 stars next to his name and could have gone to any, blue blood college basketball program he wanted to. He had to earn his way And for him to go from junior college to having a green room invite and to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft is an incredible story. And it doesn't help that he's 23 years old and it's taken him this long to get here. But I think he's going to appreciate every single second of this and not take this opportunity for granted, because he knows this opportunity is only there because he's worked for it and he's earned it, and I think he'll continue to do that.
Grant, we'll get you out of here, man. If they do take him, is Grant Ramey a Blazer fan officially?
I'll say this. I sat at so many Tennessee basketball games last year thinking it's going to suck next season not getting to watch Dalton Knecht, because he was that special and that good of a college basketball player. So whatever NBA team gets him, if the Blazers get him, Portland fans are going to fall in love with this dude because he is so fun to watch. He is so easy to root for, and he's just so good at scoring the basketball. They're going to get a really good player, whoever drafts him.
There we go. Great stuff. Grant Ramey, VolQuest.com, covered Dalton Knecht in the Tennessee program last year, so we wanted to do a little dive into who Dalton Knecht was. Great stuff, Grant. Thank you so much for hopping on with us and being flexible, and hopefully we can catch up with you soon.
Appreciate you guys having me. See you later.
All right, there we go. Great stuff from Grant Ramey on Twitter, at Grant Ramey, VolQuest.com.
That was really good insight, man. He was awesome.
I'm foaming at the mouth.
Are you sold? Was that a
I've
sell?
been-
Buy.
I was sold before that interview, and that interview sold me even more.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest question, a lot of the stuff on the court I wasn't surprised by. Like, we know kind of the scouting report, great shooter, really good scorer, lateral quickness, maybe not up to par with some of the other prospects, NBA-wise, defensively not elite, but we kind of knew all that. The character stuff, the dog attitude, a lot of that stuff was really good to hear of. If you're taking him 7 overall, you want him to have that mentality.